All the tech companies love to announce what they're up to for Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and I think the one that always wins is Apple, right? Because they have come up with an amazing array of features. And last night I got the chance to sit down with Sarah Herrlinger from Apple, their Director of Accessibility, to find out about all the cool new features and what they mean for us in particular as blind people. I've got to talk to you about Vision Pro because I was kind of blown away, if I'm honest, by the announcements about what's coming to Vision Pro. Some really cool features and, real headliners, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's a great year for us for Vision Pro and really across the board. But, when we first built Vision Pro, it was incredibly important to us that accessibility was there from the start. So there's so many features that we built in round one. But one of them that we are super excited to build on is Zoom. As you know, right now, Zoom already works on Vision Pro for digital elements. So zooming in on things that are on, digital elements on the device itself. But we just announced a powerful update where you'll now be able to zoom in on your surroundings as well as on digital elements. So being able to use the main camera to zoom onto things in the world. And like in iOS, you can use this in either Windows Zoom or full screen zoom mode.
Yeah, and as well as that, and of course, that is a major feature, I've got to say, which, having a little trial in the Apple Store with Vision Pro, it was one of the first things I thought, God, this would be great if I could have that functionality. Clearly someone was listening, because there it is. But you go beyond that on Vision Pro because, object identification, item recognition, all of that kind of stuff is coming as well, right?
Yeah, we're bringing live recognition to Vision OS as well. So like iOS, being able to use machine learning to describe things in your surroundings, including things like people detection, furniture detection, and text detection. So being able to, go through your mail using the device, things like that, where things out in the real world, again, that you're going to be able to use that detection mode for.
I think there was a lot of us who kind of felt at the beginning it would be so cool if, apps like Be My Eyes could get access to those cameras, so that, we could have that person-to-person interaction as Be My Eyes offers, as others do too. And it would be really cool if that was available through Vision Pro. Again, this is something else you've announced.
Yeah, so what we announced is that we're opening up a new API that's specifically for accessibility developers. So there will be a process of requesting access and then being approved that you are an accessibility developer and using it in the right ways. But the idea behind it is to get access to that main camera for person-to-person assistance. So again, giving users more ways to understand their surroundings hands-free.
Privacy is always at the heart of Apple, right?
Absolutely.
I want to pick up on Braille Access. And I want you to explain this to me a little bit, Sarah, if you don't mind, because I was listening in and reading all the information and I'm trying to get my head around what is Braille Access? Is it an app? Because essentially it's bringing a note taker, essentially a Braille note-taking type device into the iPhone or into the ecosystem of Apple devices.
Yeah, so Braille Access is a powerful new experience. It does require a connected Braille display, but it's a standard refreshable Braille display. You'll be able to interact with your Apple device, whether that's iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple Vision Pro with Braille Access. And using it, you can easily take notes in Braille format in any Braille code, perform calculations using Nemeth Braille, which is, for those who don't know, a Braille code that's often used in classrooms for math and science. You're now going to be able to open Braille-ready format BRF files directly from Braille Access. So this will unlock a wide range of books and files that were previously created on a Braille note-taking device. And you can even use an integrated form of live captions, which is a feature that we developed to support the deaf community to be able to caption, or to transcribe real conversations. And now being able to display these captions directly on a Braille display. So for users who are deaf-blind, again, giving them more flexibility, more access, more ways to be able to use our devices in ways that work for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see Braille get such a major focus of attention here, especially in the year, although some argue it, but I still maintain this is the year of 200 years of Braille. At least that's as far as the Double Tap series is concerned.
200 years of Braille, 40 years of accessibility at Apple. It's also the 20th anniversary of VoiceOver, so there's a lot to celebrate this year.
I want to talk to you about accessibility labels, which is something that's going to be new in the App Store. It sounds great because this gives an opportunity for developers to really highlight and showcase the work they've done to make their apps accessible in a number of different ways, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about this. I think it's a big step forward for accessibility. As you well know, we do a lot to try and ensure that our apps are accessible and work for users. And I think, we've always believed it's important to expand that to the ecosystem and to be leaders, but to help others, to be the ripple in the pond. And so this is really an opportunity for developers to be able to better inform and educate customers on the accessibility of their apps and give users more understanding upfront of whether an app is going to be able to work for them. So we're adding in a number of new labels. They include VoiceOver and voice control, which are both essential tools for many users to interact with their devices. A lot of other features such as larger text, sufficient contrast, dark interface, differentiate without color alone, reduced motion. I think I got them all there. And then for media accessibility as well, being able to give a label for captions or audio descriptions if you have media embedded in your apps. And so it's just really an opportunity for developers to tell people if they're supporting any of those 9 criteria.
Yeah, and that's something you already led the way on inside the Apple TV app, right? Because, all the Apple TV Plus content, has a description and captioning and everything built in already, which is wonderful. But in the iTunes store, for example, if you were going to buy a movie or a TV show, you would know if the movie or TV show had that because those labels are in there, and it's expanding on that, which is wonderful. The question I have, though, is how does a developer know if the app meets the guidelines?
So we did this as sort of an opportunity to pre-announce, but our Worldwide Developer Conference is coming up at the beginning of next month. And at that conference, we'll be providing our developers with robust criteria for what it means to support or not. And as they are looking at not just that criteria, we'll also be connecting them to a lot of resources. For years we've been building APIs to support all 9 of these criteria. So there are APIs that they can use to, start that process. As well, for years at our Worldwide Developer Conference, we've been delivering sessions. So there are videos for developers to watch. There's sample code, there's documentation, there's all kinds of things that help them in that process of understanding, for example, what does it mean to code for VoiceOver and make that a part, to how do you label buttons, things like that. So we're going to be providing all of that to developers with, again, more sessions at WWDC and helping kind of hold their hands in this process and help them to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, we speak to a lot of developers who say, the one thing about Apple, you can say a lot of things about Apple, but one thing you can say for sure is that there is documentation, there are resources, there's plenty of information out there in order to know how to make the app accessible. The question is, though, what happens if an app has a rating? Let's say it says it's VoiceOver compliant and it turns out it isn't. You're getting all this feedback from people saying it says it is, but it's not. Do you step in at that point?
Well, the first step with that is if a user finds that an app has an incorrect label, they can provide feedback to the developer directly. So they can go to the link on their App Store page and send a note to the developer to let them know where there is a problem. Same as for us, we have the accessibility@apple.com email address. And if people write to us, we file bugs, we get those directly to our engineers. They could also rate and review the app from the App Store product page and say, this was my experience as somebody in each of the communities or with each need to say this wasn't quite what I hoped for. And then Apple may also step in and investigate and take actions on apps that are providing intentionally misleading or harmful information.
That's good to know. But you're right. The community can help itself as well, right, through those reviews. I've had experiences of this before. People don't want to write bad reviews, but you know what? If it ain't working, you got to say something, right?
Developers really do want to know where there are problems. With things like privacy labels and things like that we've had in the past, there are things that people give them feedback. And I know developers appreciate understanding where they can do better.
I want to ask you about Magnifier for Mac, because this is so cool. I've been looking for scanning solutions on my computer for a long time, and there are many expensive pieces of software out there. And then Magnifier for Mac comes along. I'm thinking about it from a blindness perspective, but I know from a low vision perspective, this is huge. Tell us more.
Yeah. So as many people may know, Magnifier has been available on iOS since 2016 as an app to, again, support the real world and being able to magnify content out in the world around you. But with this, and I think this is the way we try and look at all of our features, whether it be on a Vision Pro or a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, developing a solution that uniquely leverages the power of that device. And so as we looked at this and the Mac, we wanted to be able to create a solution that really made the most of the Mac's canvas and also takes advantage of the fact that you can organize and store material much more readily than, for example, on an iPhone. So we created a solution that's really simple and low setup. The idea is that you take the iPhone camera or an attached camera as your means of being able to, see something out in the world. So you attach an iPhone to the Mac, fire up Magnifier, and then you're able to use the image that's coming in from that iPhone or other attached camera. And as it shows up on the screen, you can do things like snap it into perspective. So if you're a student in a classroom and you have to sit at the back of a lecture hall, you're not directly on. You can still choose the area that you want to have in the image, and then have it line that up to give you a better perspective. You can zoom in on it. You can customize the format. So if you want to use a different filter or something like that, you can customize that format into what works best from you. Once you have it set up the way you want it, you can then, again, snap a picture of it so you can keep those as slides and file them. So, for example, if you're in a class and you want to always keep track of all of your the images you took from your science class or your English class, you can gather those together and keep them over time. So really valuable for somebody in an education environment. And it also works with a brand new feature that we've launched called Accessibility Reader. And to give a little bit of information about that one, Accessibility Reader is a new system-wide reading mode. And it's designed for users with a wide range of disabilities, such as things like dyslexia or low vision. And it gives users a new way to customize text and focus on content that they want to read, again, with extensive options for fonts, colors, spacing, as well as support for spoken content, so you can have things read out to you as well. And the cool thing about Accessibility Reader, which is a little different than a feature we've had for a while that's called Safari Reader, is that Accessibility Reader can be launched from any app, including from this new Magnifier app. And it's actually built into Magnifier in iOS, iPadOS, macOS, so it's not just something for macOS. But in this way, you can interact with, text that's digital or in the real world and have it delivered to you in a format that works best for you.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And I've got to ask you on the audio side of that, I'm guessing a range of voices available to choose from to listen to that content as well?
Yeah, I mean, much like with our other, vocal elements, it's the voices that we have built into the operating system are available to you.
It's an amazing year for you, of course. 40 years of accessibility at Apple, 20 years of voiceover, as you say. And of course, another year of Global Accessibility Awareness Day when these announcements come out. How important is Global Accessibility Awareness Day to you, do you think? How does it stack up today?
I've always been a huge fan of Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I think it is important for us to have a moment where we can galvanize around accessibility and have everybody in the tech world understand the importance of it. And for us at Apple, it's always been really important to try and lead in this area and to show people what we're doing. We love the fact that we're able to pre-announce all these features and share with the world all that our team's been doing over the last year. Our team is so dedicated and quite frankly, so creative. I mean, the work that we do to support all these different types of disabilities is, in my mind, some of the most creative work, because you have to think about everything in such unique ways. And having the opportunity to share all of this with the world now and to talk with folks like yourself, it always makes me so happy when we get to this time of year. It's kind of like my Christmas.
Yeah, listen, it's Christmas for us because, we get to know what's coming up from Apple before anyone else does. I love it. It's great. Well, disabled people get
maybe that means I get to play Santa Claus. So there you go.
Excellent. Okay. Sarah, it's always wonderful to talk to you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on to Double Tap.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to talk with you.